And hello, everybody. This is MJ Hernandez, also known as the host for This is A's Weekly, the only show that talks about your Oakland athletics for the Baseball Podcast Network. Would like to thank again for another episode for the Baseball Podcast Network. Episode number 14. Number 14 ready to go. And This is A's Weekly. You guys have been amazing. We're over here accompanied again by Steven, who is setting things up right now for himself. His little small notes. We didn't really make too much notes today, but definitely we'll have Steven in here coming in like last week. So this week we're going to talk about some breakout stars and some soon-to-be deserving contract extension candidates. We're going to talk about former A's that would probably fit with this team. Like I said, these next couple of episodes will not contain too much of the stats, but it will contain just honest opinions, which a lot of people like better. But yeah, this is A's Weekly, and we will be back with these messages. And there you go, the little small young rapper, Matt Ox, ready to represent the Bay Area, I guess. I didn't pick that. That's pretty funny. But still, basically here, this is Ace Weekly, episode number 14, ready to go in depth on what we are going to get started with today. First, let's introduce Steven. Steven, how you doing? What's up, man? How you doing? So, Steven over here really did wonders last show. We had some people message about Steven last week about any personal Instagram, any stuff, details about him. He decided to not do it. Why is that, man? I don't know. I just didn't want to do it. All right, man. So this is going to be pretty interesting. So we are here with this topic. As you know, my name is MJ, and Steven with the other side of me, ready to talk in depth of what this Oakland A's team is currently about. Last week we went over some people that are going to be tender candidates. We talked about people that are probably not going to be in the roster. We'll continue some of those topics today. There were some people that we didn't really get to, and we got to just shout out to those people that really broke out this year. The first person I want to get started with, Marcus Semien. What this guy has done in an Oakland A's uniform, and it's been a big ride for Marcus Semien because we've seen him from the start, right? Yeah, and this guy really has grown on to me. We all knew that he had the power ability and the offensive ability. And immediately when you see him play his first season with the Athletics, you can immediately see all that being put into play because this is his fourth year already as an A. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy about this, 2015 was his year, right? He was in that big Jeff Samardzija trade that sent Jeff Samardzija and Michael Inoue. For those that remember, that former big top prospect that everyone was making a big deal on, turned out not to be nothing in the major leagues, at least not yet. And Jeff Samardzija only stayed not that long for Chicago, so that was something unique. Sorry, I'm a little sick, but Semien, man, I think that this has been probably one of the best Billy Bean trades that we've seen. Yeah, basically. Yeah. And this is we see a lot of good trades in the Billy Bean era. A lot of them. Like the Marcus Semien trade is one of the best trades that you can probably imagine. Yeah, the Ramon Laureano, but technically not a big trade. I mean, it was he was designated for assignment, but we did trade for him. So Laureano came in. I think that was another good trade. Piscotty, debatably a good trade. The Luzardo trade, very big number of trades that were really good, and people forget the Donaldson trade as well. Not the Donaldson to let go of Donaldson, but to receive Donaldson. Look at what we got from or we gave up for Donaldson. That's impressive for the Billy Bean era. But let's go back to Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien, this year, 33 homers, 43 doubles, incredible. And he did play mostly every game, if not every game. 8.1 WAR. A lot of people are debated on that stat to think that they should be making a big deal out of that, but I like WAR. And he was batting .285, 369 on base percentage. We'll get paid $5.9 million for this past season that just happened. And this is going to be the last year of arbitration before he hits his free agency year. Of course, unless if the A's decide to re-sign him. And I think this is where we wanted to talk about him. Marcus Semien has been probably one of the most consistent players for Oakland, yeah. And it's been quite some time. It's been 2 years, back-to-back years, that he's done pretty well. Yeah, I mean, Marcus Semien has been definitely one of those guys that you can definitely rely on. And just seeing how he is, seeing how he is a leader, seeing how little he needs to do to make a big impact on the team, it's really impressive to say the least. I mean, we have a lot of good players in this team. That's why when a lot of people were bummed out, I really wasn't that bummed out. I mean, we have a great stacked young piece of team right here. And Marcus Semien is one of those guys that quickly became that guy to rely on. And especially off that leading off spot that he's at. He's batting up in the top of the lineup. Has really been a big transition for him. It was something that was Ramon one. That was the thing that was going to happen. And it's paid off. Paid off incredibly for the A's. They got a serious shortstop here, and they got a really interesting talk coming this offseason to see if Marcus Semien is here to stay, to see if he's here to go. He did switch agents during the season. So now, who knows what's in Marcus Semien's mind. He has expressed that he wants to stay here in the Bay Area, especially with Oakland. So we'll see what's in store for this season. And if he does get the extension, I think this is different from when you gave it to KD, because KD was already 31. Yeah, he's gonna be a free agent. How much they give him? They think they gave him 3 years, right? He's gonna be a free agent in 3 years. So that gives a little more time for KD to go get rolling. But he's already past his 30s. Marcus Semien is still young enough to really get a little small enough extension, probably 2 year, 3 year. If I had to think about it, I'd be very surprised if they go past the 3 year, but I think 2 or 3 is more the reasonable thing for this Oakland A's team. Don't want to go overboard with it because you do have other players that you want to get to as well. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When I see this team, having so much young players, you see a lot of things going the right direction for Oakland. Matt Chapman is a big step to get to the right direction where you want it to be. Matt Olson's another big step. So having those two guys at the corner players, it really helps them out. It really helps out what they are made out of, what they can do, what they can provide for you in a day in and day out basis. Very, very impressive what the A's have came out with Matt Olson and Matt Chapman. Those are the two guys who I'm going to lead off on. And it seems like they've always been one step short in these last 2 years that they did go into the playoffs. They are always a little step behind with every team. And this season, I think this season was one of the best wild card losses, because when it ended, you didn't have to worry about a bunch of free agents going and leaving and not having guys there. and that's the really big thing. When you had 2018, when they faced New York, you immediately felt that because you saw Edwin Jackson being a free agent. You saw Brett Anderson being a free agent. You saw Jurius Familia, guys that were really, really big on the free agent, big on free agency in Oakland standpoint. And then Jed Lowry especially. You got worried of what was going to go down, what was going to go by, and how we were going to go play, And then Lucroy leaving in Los Angeles. A lot of people fell high on Lucroy. And it's just really, really, really one of those years where you finally take a step back and you take a breath and you look at what the roster looks at without these free agents. You can actually see this team still succeeding without those players, because a lot of the players that came up during the September call-ups really made an impact. Going Luzardo, going Sheldon Noisy, Seth Brown, AJ Puck, guys that really made a name for themselves and really had to work hard to really be in the conversation for next year and have the A's feel like they got a guy that's ready. AJ Puck was a little shaky, but later on turned into a very valuable part of the bullpen, really managed it out. And it seems like when those guys were up, Luzardo and Puck, the bullpen had more stability. The bullpen had more air, little more space to breathe in. And this is where Marcus Semien comes in important, because you see a new shortstop. You saw how big it changed the team when you have a new player come in an environment where you're used to the same guy coming in. Like Profar, when he was struggling, and then they brought up Sheldon Noisy, immediately you saw the change in second base, and you saw a very, very good connection. And Marcus Semien doesn't need that. He is the guy for the spot, and until we know otherwise, he is going to be the guy that's going to be in the green and gold right there in the middle of the infield, in the left side of second base. And Marcus Semien seems like needs to be deserving of this extension. And the A's are not really popular in giving out extensions. If you see past players, it hasn't really gone that well. They already did it with KD, so they went up big time budget-wise, but they're still one of the cheaper teams in baseball. So is Marcus Semien the guy that you're going to give it to? So this is where it really goes into play, and it's obviously one of the harder things to talk about, but concluding my thoughts on this team, it's really a year where you don't have to add over dramatically a lot, unless you want to become an elite team, then you would have to give up some people. But then, even with then, I think I'm confident with this team. Really want to get some depth, really take over the depth, and make sure that you still are strong with that, because injuries can happen, and hopefully it doesn't happen this year. But the A's do have a high history of players getting hurt at the wrong time, like Trinan, Torino, KD, Piscotti, all last season. So definitely feel high for this team. But Marcus Semien, if it were up to me, I think would give probably a 2 to 3 year extension, probably go $10 million or $12 million a year. And that's really where I think I'll be happy for. 8 year if he really wants to go team friendly, but who knows? I mean, this is going to be his first big payday. Would that be enough for him? And that's really it's really up to him. And Marcus Semien, deserving so, as hard as he worked, as hard as he overcame all the negative critiques, and as far as he's come from when he first stepped in Oakland, he has changed a lot, and he has changed into a different player. And this guy can have the potential in being a star in this league for a good time. Yeah, I mean, that's where I agree with you. I agree with you in that standpoint. And if Marcus Semien, because there has been teams that